I've spent 20 years leading multiple projects, and I literally wrote the book on how to manage them. If you're juggling several projects right now, you already know that no 2 days ever look the same, and that is why structure matters. Because project managers who stay calm aren't the ones with the fanciest apps, they're the ones with a few simple habits that let them stay proactive when everything changes. So let me take you through exactly how I structure my day, and you can start seeing if any of those habits will help you tomorrow. I'll start with where the biggest difference happens, and that is the night before. Before you shut down your computer, grab some sticky notes, write down the top 3 things that you must get done tomorrow. 3 is enough to feel productive, but it's few enough to stay realistic. And when you wake up, you already know what matters instead of trying to stare at your screen, wondering where to start. So, this is the habit that I call the sticky 3, and it replaces that sinking feeling of having too much to do. I picked it up years ago. I still use it every day because it works. And there is something about handwriting 3 items on a sticky that you can stick on your monitor or that you can stick on your, I stick it on my keyboard. It's just better than a digital list. Whether you put it on the edge of your desk, whatever, those 3 things become the anchor for the day. So I get into work, I see those, and here's what I do next. First thing I do is check my email, but I'm not opening every message and replying to all of them. I'm scanning for what changed overnight, because when you manage multiple projects, especially across different time zones, something will always shift while you're asleep. And even if you're not across multiple time zones, you might find a client sent in a new requirement, a supplier might have missed a deadline, a team member might need a decision before they can move forward. So I'm looking for what's truly urgent, what will affect my schedule, and what can wait until later. If an email isn't urgent, I can set it to be unread, which means marking it for later, or I'll forward it to someone who can deal with it instead. Then I check my calendar so I know what meetings are coming and what topics are likely to come up. And that lets me prepare mentally for those conversations that I need to have, whether it's a risk discussion, a budget question. I might spend 5 or 10 minutes thinking through what each person needs from me that day, so I'm not walking in cold. If you start your day by reacting to every email, your inbox becomes everyone else's to-do list. And if something is urgent, if everything is urgent, then nothing is urgent. But here's where a lot of people go wrong. They open up their planner and they're trying to schedule their whole day in the morning. And that's a recipe for frustration when you've got multiple projects. Trying to plan the same day in the morning doesn't work because every project is in a different phase. One project needs steering prep, another needs a risk review, a third might have people waiting for updates. So a rigid daily routine breaks the moment one of those projects shifts. So I plan my week instead. I'm protecting windows for each project. So maybe Monday morning for work, admin work on one project, or Tuesday afternoon for work on deeper work on a different project. And the planning engine is my weekly review. So I'm going through my action log and my notebook for every project, typically on a Friday afternoon, sometimes a Sunday night, sometimes a Monday morning, depending on what the week looks like. And I use the Notes app to keep searchable notes on all my projects so I can quickly pick up the context again without spending 20 minutes trying to remember where I left off. When you only touch a project in emergencies, you miss those small warning signs that show up in status reports and the team conversations. So that's how you stop projects falling through the cracks. Once your week is mapped out, the next thing is to protect that thinking time. And that's the habit that saved me the most hours over the years. I block time in my calendar for deep work, and I treat those blocks like meetings with myself that I can't move, except in reality, actually, I do move them from time to time because life happens and senior people need meetings. So the time might move, but the premise of having those blocks is in the calendar. So during that time, I'm going to be working on board papers, steering decks, financial reports, anything else that needs a concentrated effort, quiet headspace, documentation. So I'm rotating the deep work across my projects, so nothing is losing attention. For example, that might mean Wednesday morning, I'm looking at financials on perhaps the last working Wednesday of the month in time for end of month financial planning. Thursday afternoons, I might be looking at risk planning across all projects. And if one project's hitting a deadline, I might switch things around so that that's getting more focus. But the idea is that you're trying to come back to a schedule where you've got time for each project in the week. If you only ever dive into a project when it's already in trouble, you're going to miss those small clues that sit in the data and the team chats that you're just not hearing. Having searchable notes from that weekly review helped me drop back into the projects without losing working time because I'm not trying to work out where I was. So I might not look at my emails. My notifications are generally turned off anyway. If I need to let my team know that I'm heads down until a specific time, I can do that. And status indicators on apps like Teams make that really easy. Also making sure that my sticky 3 for the day includes one item from that deep work. Otherwise, it's going to get pushed aside by the smaller tasks. Even 30 minutes of focused work on a steering deck is better than nothing, and it keeps the project moving forward without you having to catch up later. Now, interruptions are still going to happen. Sometimes a fire drill blows up, an emergency right in the middle of your protected time. So let me show you how I handle that without losing the whole afternoon. When two projects blow up at the same time, and chances are at some point they probably will, you need to decide what to do first. So I've always got to ask myself, is it truly urgent or does it just feel urgent to someone else? And often a phone call is the fastest way to find that out. Ask whether it's a real project risk or just a routine issue that was pushed up too fast. Ask whether it needs my involvement or whether someone else on the team can handle it. And ask, can we solve it with a clear email instead of having to call an emergency meeting that pulls 6 people off their work? So check who else needs to be involved. Urgent requests normally need input from other people, but if you've built good working relationships in advance, those people are going to respond when you reach out because they trust you. And that trust gets built in small moments, not when you're asking for a favour under pressure. So we need to invest in relationships even when nothing is broken. The goal is not to eliminate surprises. Frankly, that's not realistic, and you will burn yourself out trying to do that. So the goal is to have enough structure around the rest of your day with some spare time, so that unstructured time that you can use to respond calmly and effectively when something unexpectedly lands on your desk. Ultimately, the best way to prevent emergencies is to prevent them where you can. And a standing check-in with important people across the projects is a good way to do that. Not status updates. You can put those in documents and dashboards, but conversations that are around removing roadblocks, validating decisions, and catching those tiny issues before they become full-on problems. A lot of problems on projects don't come from nowhere, so catching them early is a really good tip. If those small issues are not addressed early enough, they can spiral into something that needs 3 days of work. So those weekly team check-ins give people a consistent space just to chat, to raise their hand before something goes wrong. So I'm listening out for roadblocks, confusion, anything that needs my attention so I can sort it out while it's still small. Now, you can be busy but not productive, and part of your role is helping the team stay focused on the right things at the right time so they can be busy and productive. So building those relationships in advance is going to help you when there is a problem. And hopefully by the time everything winds down, you've got enough time to do another habit that closes the loop. So I end my day with a final email check and a calendar review before I finish for the day. And that closes the loop, so I'm not carrying a mental list of unfinished tasks around in my head all evening. I'll update my action log, my notes, my paper notebook as well while the day is still fresh, because tomorrow morning I won't remember the detail. So it's good to jot anything down that I learned that day so I don't have to relearn it all next week. Then I look at tomorrow's schedule so I know what I'm walking into. I write out my sticky 3 for the next day before I shut down, and the cycle starts again. So it will be different issues, different meetings, different people pulling your attention in different directions on a different day, but the structure, the habits stay the same even when everything else changes. So if you're wondering what holds all of these habits together, there is one skill that makes it work, and that is intentionality. That just means being purposeful about where you spend your limited time. It shows up in how you plan your week, how you protect your thinking time, how you respond when two projects blow up at once, and how you prepare for conversations before you walk into them. You will never have a perfect day where nothing goes wrong. That's not the point of project management anyway, because that would be boring, right? But the point is having the clarity, the confidence, and the structure to lead your projects forward when things are changing. And if you can build that, the chaos starts to feel manageable instead of overwhelming. If you want more support with managing multiple projects, I wrote a book called Managing Multiple Projects, and I run Project Management Rebels, which is a program with office hours, templates, and a community of people who get it because they're living it too. And you can find links to those below. If you like this video, you will want to watch my video on how to manage multiple projects without burning out. Thanks for watching. I'll see you there.